Where's Shark Brew when you need him? Oh wait, here he comes. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Ohms TV. Today we are going to do a review on the all-new Sony A7S Mark III. Yes, we finally have one of these to shoot on. Ooh, man, we're excited. And as you guys can see, we are privileged enough to shoot inside the magnificent Two Oceans Aquarium right here in Cape Town. What a fantastic venue, and thank you so much for allowing us to shoot in here. It really is spectacular. Now, a couple of things to note before we dive into this. Firstly, if you guys are picking up a little bit of an echo in my voice, I am sorry. It is because we are literally inside a little tunnel surrounded by this magnificent view. There's mirrors on the one side, all of this glass and water on the other side. So yeah, you might pick up a little bit of an echo, but we decided to give you guys something pretty to look at other than my handsome face, of course. The other thing to note is this video is going to look a little bit strange because we are going to cut back and forth between myself and Andre, and that is of course for the social distancing rules that are in place. But now we're going to dive into this unit. We've been shooting with it for the last couple of hours inside this magnificent venue, and we're going to get into the specs and then take you through our experiences of it. So let's get into that. Boom.
Perfect.
Oh, money.
Perfect.
Yo, money made.
Alright guys, let's first talk about the photo specs. Now, we all know the Sony A7S III is kind of made for pro video, but it is still a stills camera as well. So 12 megapixel stills, and you can shoot at a maximum of 10 frames per second. The main reason they keep the megapixel so low is to improve dynamic range and also get much better low light performance. Now, talking about low light performance, you've got a maximum ISO of 409,600, which is crazy big numbers. The last thing I can mention is the autofocus points. You have 759 autofocus points, which is many to choose from, and that is edge to edge. So overall, still a very great photo product. The last thing I can mention is the ISO number. Can I just do a cut for that?
Let's just try to
Now, as we expected, the video features of this camera are indeed quite tasty. So yes, we are recording at a maximum 4K resolution, but up to 120 frames per second, which is pretty incredible for a camera at this price point. Now, yes, you can also slow that down. You can go 60 or 30 frames per second in there as well, and it'll do all of that internally at 10-bit 422 using the HEVC codec, which is really nice. Gives you a nice compression, but still maintaining really good quality. If you, however, want to up that quality and up that bitrate, Sony does offer you an XAVC SI codec that you can also use, and that will run up to 600 megabit per second, and that can do it all internally. Now, what is really impressive is the maximum output that you can get out of this camera. So via the HDMI port, you can output a 16-bit RAW file, which is incredible, but you can only do that up to a maximum of 60 frames per second, which all facts considered is absolutely incredible. Now, at the moment, there is no real external recorder that can record 16-bit RAW, but on something like the Atomos Ninja V, that 16-bit RAW does get downsampled, so you do still get a really robust file. Gives you some amazing editing potential. Truly a video beast to this unit.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about ergonomics. So a couple of changes from the A7S II. Definitely a beefier body and a much beefier grip, and it's quite nice to hold as well. Now, something that I really like that Sony has done is they've still kept the traditional SD card slot, but for the first time we're seeing CF Express Type A. Now, these are different to Type B, just note on that when you purchase cards for your camera. Now, both cards can go into both slots, which is quite an interesting thing to see on a camera. Then Sony has listened to their clients, and we've got the flippy screen. We know a lot of vloggers do need this, and to be honest, even for me, I do more photography, I really enjoy the flippy screens, doing odd angles here and there. Also, another great feature is going to be the EVF. They've bumped it up to more than 9 million dots. This thing is crystal clear. You're looking at a high resolution screen here. As Deon mentioned, with the HDMI out, you have a full HDMI, and that's going to give you a very clean feed. As from the A7S II, they have bumped up to the new FZ100 battery, so you're getting much better battery life from the S2 model. Next up, we've got the flippy screen, and I'm not getting the freaking card in there. Can you cut? Can you do a jump cut? So before handing the camera back to Deon, let's quickly run over what we feel and how we feel about the photo performance of the A7S III. Now yes, it is 12 megapixel. Now 12 megapixel is going to limit you with massive scale prints, or if you want to crop half of your frame out, yes, that is going to limit you. But at the end of the day, the boost in dynamic range and the boost in low light is going to be a huge benefit on the photo side as well. So if you're a person that shoots social media, for online content, or even just for reference, you can definitely use the A7S III as a photo camera. But at the end of the day, we all know this is not going to be an A-type photo camera. This is going to be for a person that wants to shoot video, but for video, let's hand it over to Deon. So before...
Sorry. Yes, go.
No, it's like I keep looking at it, like right there. Because he's right by my face. So what you guys are going to see from all the footage that you're seeing that we've shot here at the aquarium today is that Sony really took a massive step up from what you had in the A7S II. And I mean, the A7S II, we're talking about a 5-year-old camera now. So they've really had time to come out with something that really gives you that step up. Now, what Sony has decided to do here was not necessarily go for a camera that will shoot 8K footage and downsample into a 4K realm. They have essentially created a native 4K video camera, and that is something very important to remember. Now, there is one downside to this, and that is that on a camera that has a higher resolution sensor and you downsample to 4K, what you can have is slightly better fine detail pickup than what you are going to get with this camera. But what you get with the native 4K sensor over here is a much faster readout, much better dynamic range, and a far better rolling shutter effect on this camera. Now, what you need to know here is that the 4K 60 records the full width of the sensor, but if you do bump it up to 4K 120, you will get a 1.1 crop on it. Now, yes, I know a crop is never a good thing, but a 1.1 crop is barely noticeable on this unit. Now, yes, we were shooting on some fairly wide glass, like the 16-35 over here, but at the end of the day, it's really not the end of the world. Now, just in terms of the actual performance, it's like everything that was wrong with the A7S II, Sony corrected over here. So you'll see from the footage that we're showing you that the autofocus is absolutely on point, even in these really dim light conditions. You get Sony's really advanced eye tracking autofocus system, which works flawlessly on this unit, even if we're in really low light conditions or situations where we're transitioning from a low light environment into a far brighter environment. The autofocus stays locked on perfectly. Now, on the A7S III, you don't have any recording limits. So some cameras still limit you to recording a maximum of 30 minutes per clip, and then you have to restart the recording every time. On the Sony, that's not a problem. They've gotten over those issues, and you can essentially record until your memory card is full or your external SSD is full, whatever the situation might be. Now, in addition to that, Sony claims that you can record up to at least an hour, even at 4K 120, without running into any overheating problems. And even though we didn't record for that length of time continuously, we were shooting multiple clips after each other in very quick succession, running at 4K 60 and 4K 120, and we didn't run into a single overheating issue with this unit. And I think that's very impressive considering the bit rates that we're running with here. We were shooting everything internally. It is a testament to what this unit is capable of. Now, because of the fact that this is just running a native 4K sensor and Sony didn't decide to go for crazy resolutions on the sensor itself, Sony is making some bold claims in terms of the reliability of this unit. And unfortunately, there's no way for us to verify that, and that will only be verified once it gets into the end user's hand and you guys start putting some serious hours through this unit. But Sony is claiming that in terms of reliability, it is a massive step up from where the A7S II was, and that unit was already an absolute workhorse. So I can't wait to see what this is actually capable of once it gets into some proper production work. Now, to get into the conclusions, I'm handing this back over to Andre. Now, for our
Just stop now for our conclusion.
Without going too much into... From my side, I can really say that I'm really happy with what Sony has done with the A7S III. They've really listened to all of the complaints of the S2 model. People didn't like the screen, so they added the flippy screen. They didn't like the smaller and small body, so they added the bigger body. They've also added more control dials. They've added the touchscreen, the little joystick. So Sony is really listening to their clients and giving the client the better machine. Without going too in depth with specs in terms of the video, I just want to mention that Sony is giving a professional a machine that's going to give him stable video recording. It's not going to overheat, it's not going to give you any funny errors, and I think that is quite important for professionals. They need to buy a system that they know it's going to work and it's not going to give them any problems. So for that, I think Sony has got a winner on their hand here, and I probably think it's going to be camera of the year, to be honest. So without going too much in depth with the specs on the...
Okay. If you guys were expecting a different conclusion to Andre, well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna disappoint, because I'm gonna echo what he said. Sony created a magnificent, stable platform here. And I love the fact that Sony didn't try and go out and give all cameras to all people. They knew what this camera was designed for, and they went out and they made that camera. Now, yes, you can argue that it would have been nice to have more megapixels for still shooting. And yes, absolutely, that is a fact. But then you would be sacrificing something on the video side. And I really enjoy the fact that we are now getting purpose-built machines like this. If you want to be able to shoot billboard-sized images, this is not the camera for you. But if you want to be able to have a camera that will fit perfectly into your production workflow, this is definitely the type of thing that you would be considered. At the same time, it really is worth noting that 12 megapixels for stills is still really decent, and you can get a very usable result. Yes, it might be a usable result that's more focused for social media and not necessarily for print production, but that's okay, because you know that upfront getting into this camera. And yes, it is more important to get a video machine that is capable and hard wearing and that'll work every single time as you want it to work, and that will give you hours of shooting without running into problems. And that is exactly what Sony wanted to do here. I stand here and I'm trying to come up with a negative, and I really can't. I would have liked to see Sony stick with CF Express Type B so that you don't have to go out and get a completely different set of memory cards from all other cameras. And at the moment you can only get Type A from Sony themselves, but I get why they did it. It is a cheaper memory card system than CF Express Type B, and you don't need the speed of Type B in this unit. If you're going to record the higher bitrate video, then run it into an external recorder, because again, that is what most people are going to do. And that really would be my only gripe with this unit. There is one thing that I want to mention that we didn't touch on earlier, and that is the fact, and it's a massive one, and I can't believe we missed it. Sony completely revamped the entire menu system. Personally, I used to hate Sony's menus. You used to scroll for hours to get to where you want to be. It just wasn't an intuitive system. And now they've gone into a much more familiar pyramid system where it just stacks out as you go deeper into the menu, and it's something that's very familiar to anybody who's used Fuji cameras, Canon cameras, Nikon cameras. It is the industry standard, and I'm really happy to see that Sony has gone that route. This is pretty much the perfect video-centric camera with still a little bit of photographic use put in there, and I kind of like it. I love that you keep rolling. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
Must be all that memory card space you have.
I love that you're like nodding your head. Like, watch me come.
Aquarium.
Aquarium, yeah.
Okay.
Aquarium is baie Afrikaans van
We
jou.
would like to thank the Two Oceans Aquarium.
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 Yeah.
Aquarium.
There you got it. Okay.
Alright guys, that is our Sony A7S III review. We really hope you enjoyed it. We would like to thank the Two Oceans Aquarium for hosting us here. It's a really beautiful place, and it will be open to the public hopefully very soon. That is it. We've waited for this guy for so long. We really hope that you guys are keen to get your hands on this, and let us know in the comments below. We actually do reply to all of them, and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel as well. We hope to see you guys very soon. Cheers.